We're now going to follow on with 7 different testimonies, and I would call on testimony 1, please. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. My name is Father Saifu. I'm going to the testimony. Speaking on the 29th November 2020, the witness on the eve of Hidar Zion, Axum annual festival celebrated on the 3rd November 2020, compound of the Mariam Zion Church was supposed to be full of people with no space to move. Today, an era has been changed, and we were on the gunfire for the whole week. During this festive day, Mariam Zion Church compound was empty, no people, and what a ghost day. It is surprising that since the establishment of this church, even in the Derg regime, it has never been like this. On the 27th November 2020, Eritrean soldiers came on a Scania-type big truck with Eritrean plate number, and in this evening, they opened gunfire, and there was gunshots the whole night. In response, Tigray militias and some youth of Axum tried to defend, but they couldn't hold them longer. On the 28th November 2020, Eritrean soldiers entered the town, and they were shooting and killing every youth they found in the street, day and night, including 2 brothers who were passing on the road to open their shops in the early morning of 29th of November. ENDF, the Ethiopian National Defense Force soldiers, were in the town for more than a week. Maybe they entered Axum on 22nd of November 2020, but didn't do anything like that. However, Eritrean soldiers were killing Axum youth the whole day on the 29th November, and people of Axum has never experienced this kind of sorrow on the festive of Mariam Zion Eve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Father Sifu, for that. And we'll now move to testimony number 2.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here and get this opportunity to speak on behalf of my people who are under active genocidal war for the last 7+ months. Sorry. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Just take your time. It's fine. Thank you.
To speak about the ancient Al-Najashi Mosque. This is an ancient Al-Najashi Mosque, the first mosque in Africa. It was established in 7 AD. This historical and ancient mosque was renovated recently. However, the Eritrean troops, in collaboration with the Ethiopian troops, vandalized the mosque in and out on November 24 to 25, 2020. The mosque is literally completely destroyed. Just to mention, externally, the domes of the mosque are damaged very badly. 2 domes, Minara and Kuba, of the mosque are severely bombarded. Internally, the sacred place of the mosque, which is the grave of the pilgrims of Prophet Muhammad, is badly destroyed. decorated and valuable vestments are damaged and tear. Copy letter of Al-Najashi sent from Prophet Muhammad is partially damaged, decorated whereof the 15th tombs of Ashabian from Saudi Arabia is cut up. The crucial materials of the mosque are looted. So many very expensive secular materials which were donated by the Turkish government are robbed. Not only the mosque is vandalized, but also about 80 people, innocent civilians, Muslims and Christians from and around the small town of Negash are killed or massacred at the time. 3 of them were killed within the mosque compound. The extent of the damage and atrocities are unimaginable and unexplainable. I thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We're now going to move to testimony number 3, please. Thank you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, first I want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. It was on January 11, 2021 that Shabia Eritrean soldiers shelled Debre Damo Monastery. They were firing heavy artilleries from Sero, Bizet, and an intersection road which goes to Faras town. The upper part of the monastery was hit by more than 18 heavy artilleries, and in total 28 artilleries landed at the monastery. The shelling lasted for a whole day from 7 a.m. in the morning till 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Besides, more than 100 heavy artilleries have also landed at the foot of the monastery, but was without any casualties. During the shelling, all the monks were in a prayer program inside the church. Normally from the days of the 9th of January 2021 till the 15th, the monks do have prayers. There was no damage and nothing happened to the Al-Naragali church, but 26 sheltered houses of the monks were completely destroyed and burnt. Metal sheets and wood parts of the houses were burnt to the ground. Houses which belonged to Negusation Hatsa Yohannes Rabaim, Ra'asi Alullah, Ra'asi Stuyum, and Inda Ra'asi are among those completely destroyed. These houses were also heritages of the monastery. 150 houses were built by Hatsa Yohannes Rabaim to be used as housing for monks. One monk, aged 67, was killed by the artillery while praying inside his house, causing his body parts to be dispersed all over the area, and it was very difficult to collect the body parts for burial. Then after shelling, on the next day, January 12, 2021, Eritrean soldiers approached the monastery and said they wanted to climb and inspect the monastery. They fired 3 bullets to the sky to scare the monks and make the request accepted, as the thick leather rope used to climb was already pulled up by the monks. Then the monks went down, and we asked the Eritrean soldiers, why are you doing this? Why do you want to destroy the monastery? How can you bomb a monastery? This monastery was not bombed or shelled or damaged during the times of Yodit Gudit, Ahmed Baran, and even the Debre had many tanks and many bombs, but this monastery was never touched. Then the Eritrean soldiers said we were informed that Debre and the soldiers are hiding in the monastery, and that this is the reason why they were shelling the monastery for the whole day. Later, we told them the information that they got was incorrect, and then they asked the monks to hand over, if there were, any arms and properties of the militias kept inside the monastery, and they left. The Eritrean soldiers came back on January 14, 2021, and asked to climb to the monastery and search everything in the monastery. 6 Eritrean soldiers climbed to the monastery with the support of the monks and searched all the houses of the monks. The church was the only place not searched. After all the inspection, when they knew nothing was in sight, the soldiers were very sad and regretted for shelling the monastery and said we should not have bombed it. After that, when we asked them, why are you doing this, in reference to the shelling, they said, you are lucky you only lost 1 monk, but 7 Christian and 1 Muslim soldiers were killed by snakes. This information was obtained from the soldiers themselves. The soldiers did not loot even a needle from the monastery. However, from the surrounding community, around 30 Eritrean soldiers came with a car and looted grains, television, generators, and other goods from farmers. Later, the car overturned while traveling to a place called Giddera, and 28 of them died and only 2 survived. Still, Eritrean soldiers are present in various areas surrounding the monastery, and looting of goods and properties of farmers is almost everywhere. We have collected the remains of the heavy artillery, which landed at the monastery, into one place. Right now, there is a great anger and sadness in the monastery, as this happened after more than 1,600 years since its establishment. All monks of the monastery are now in great danger and in need of assistance, as their food, goods, clothes, and shelter is completely destroyed and burnt to the ground. Previously, we were making living from a small amount of assistance and contribution we get by the people of the surrounding community. But now even the people have lost everything because of the looting, and we, the monks, are in great danger. The monastery has faced great destruction, and the houses destroyed were also heritages of the monastery, and this is to be disclosed into the international community. The monks are currently living in danger, uncertainty, and fear. We're also very scared when we hear gunshots, and we don't know when this conflict might end. And even the monastery might be bombed again. There's no guarantee. Currently, the Eritrean soldiers are present at the foot of the monastery, as well as the surrounding areas, such as Kasad Adaga, the road intersection which goes to Adwa. Sometimes they would come to the foot of the monastery but never climbed again. We want our peace to be restored. We want our people to get peace. Our people are being killed without any crime, and we call on the international community to support us for the conflict to be stopped. Finally, we pray to God, Xavier Amlach. Please, peace to be restored to our people, as there are no winners but losers from war.
Thank you so much for that. I'm now going to ask somebody to read testimony 4, please.
Yes, this is a testimony by a priest, and what happened to the church was video recorded. The name of the church and district are known to IPA, but withheld for security reasons. Our church was shelled. The walls and the roofs were all shot. Now there are holes and cracks in the windows, walls, and roof of the church. The shooting and shelling was done by Ethiopian National Defense soldiers from distance before they reached and entered the church. This was done on January 10, 2021 at around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. The most horrifying time was on the next day. On January 11, 2021, the Ethiopian soldiers dragged us from our home at 8 a.m. in the morning and took us to the church. We were around 6 and they forced us to open the church. We couldn't identify the key that opens the door. They get angry. They beat us. They asked us where the Tigray police forces, militias, and leaders are. They think the Tigray forces kept weapons in the church. They asked us where the juntas are. We told them we know nothing. We told them we are servants of the church. I am so sad I don't want to talk about it. They killed our brothers. I don't want to talk about it. What they have done to us is not something you could explain in words. What they have done to us is nothing when I think of our brothers who got killed. They beat us. They started beating us from the church until we reached their bureau. They dug a pit and asked to stand in it. In the pit, they were about to shoot and kill us. One of the soldiers, whose name was Captain Abdi, is the one who saved our life. He shielded us by standing between us and the shooters. He asked the shooters to leave us. Later, he told us he is from Hawassa, southern Ethiopia. The cruelest and who destroyed our life are the ethnic Amhara soldiers. There was difference between the Amhara and Oromo soldiers. We identified them by their language. The ethnic Amharas and Oromos were speaking in their respective languages. We had the Amhara saying, "Kill them all." Had it not been for the Captain Abdi who saved our life, they would have killed and buried us all in the pit. They released us in the afternoon at 5:30 p.m. and took the church keys. The soldiers came back the next morning on January 12, 2021 and interviewed us. On this day, they succeeded opening the church's door. They looted more than 10 umbrellas, 5 carpets, and took a heritage church book. The book was registered as heritage at the Bureau of Tourism of Tigray. The umbrellas are heritages as well. They were not ordinary umbrellas. They were made nicely and don't get dirt. They glare and their color was unique like silver. The church is believed to be built on 424 BC. Our parents told us the book and umbrellas had been in the church for ages and generations. They are as old as the church. Our parents and grandparents said so. They were in the church from generation to generation. On the front page of the book, there is a statement about the person who built the church. His name is Debre Aregawi. Our pain didn't end with the Ethiopian soldiers. The worst came when the Eritrean soldiers, Shabia, arrived on January 26, 2021. They fought using the church as the main fortress and camp. We couldn't come to the church and pray for days. We pray for God to save us and give peace. We pray for God to give his judgment to all who are doing all the crimes and bring them back to peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And now we go on to testimony number 5, please.
Hello, good afternoon. This is a testimony about video footage and an interview with a woman who lives and serves in a church. Before I read the testimony, I just wanted to say that I remember myself visiting these churches 2 years ago in Tigray, and I remember those churches being so beautiful and very peaceful place. And it's just horrendous to think about these acts that have happened and tainted these churches, these safe places. So yeah, I just wanted to say that before I read the testimony. So this is the interview with a woman who lives and serves in a church. She explains how the Ethiopian and Eritrean soldiers abused her and the priests in the church. In the interview, she mentioned about how a priest was killed by Ethiopian and Eritrean troops. She said the troops asked her to show them or give them information about juntas, the TPLF. She said she doesn't know and doesn't have information. They tied her and kept her as a prisoner in one of the church's room for 3 days. The troops beat her bitterly because they accused her. She buried dead bodies. She doesn't explain who these dead bodies are. She just chose the direction where the dead bodies are buried. She said the troops beat and abused the priests, and they smoked cigarettes in the church. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you know, there are so many testimonies around, and even the Bishop of Adigrad has written in January about these letters, these atrocities. So it's widespread, and that being a major Catholic cathedral, it's terrible to see everything. Nothing is sacred. So I'm going to move now to testimony number 6.
Thank you. Do you hear me well?
We hear you well.
Good, thank you. This testimony is given by local residents, and what all happened to the church is video recorded. I hold the name and exact location of the church for security reasons. I would call it for Church A for now. It's located near to the Negash Mosque. The church was bombarded, looted, and destroyed by the Eritrean and Ethiopian troops on 24th and 25th of November 2020. The Church of A is mainly damaged at its dome. It's also called Brutalities in Tigray, the local language. The dome of the church is completely destroyed and bombarded. All the rooms surrounding the main church are destroyed. So many artilleries were fired or bombarded to the church for so many times. The tablet, the most sacred treasure of the church, is displaced to another temporary room. But the rest of the church are destroyed and vandalized. The destroyed and vandalized treasures of the church, such as umbrellas, are seen scattered everywhere around the church. Some of the treasures that are looted from this Church A are the following: hand cross 4 in number, processional cross 5, silver made cross 1, brass made cross 6, settings 5, washing pitcher 13, vestments 15, crowns 150, incense burner 6, carpet 40, icons 700, stamp 1, cistern 500, church drum 4, throne chair 4, prayer sticks 270, holy books and parchments 106. Our church is not the only church that is attacked and looted by many other churches are also attacked and looted. For instance, in eastern zone of Tigray alone, we heard the following churches are attacked and looted: 1. Mariam Zada Nale. 2. Meskele Christos found in Europe at Simba. 3. Mariam Dongolat near Adigar town. 4. Abna Abraham Rock Church from Kiltaulalo district at Debre village. 5. Abna Zeravuk Church, Rock Church from Hausian district, Foini village. 6. Girgis Auda Rekhan Church in Kiltaulalo district at the Kisanded village. 7. Mariam Koko Rock Church in Hausian district, Megal village. 8. Abno Yamata Rekhan Church from Hausian district, Salam village. 9. Debre Damo Monastery, Kulo district, Mezabra Damo. 10. Abna Gabramaska Rockian Church from Hausian district, Oraro village. 11. Mariam Saala, Asbiwamberta district, Gebrakidan Saala village. 12. Church Azaba, Ganta Afeshum district, Azaba village. 13. Adugadia, St. Sulasi, Ganta Afeshum district, Diblasi village. 14. Dima Kadus Georgis, Ganta Afeshum district, Kokob Sabah village. And 15. Andajokos at Bisamati, Ganta Afeshum district, Diblasi village. Tigray is used to be branded as an open-air museum. It is a land of churches. God knows how many churches are bombarded, looted, or vandalized by the Eritrean and Ethiopian troops throughout Tigray. The damage and atrocities made are not yet fully studied and documented. A thorough and independent investigation is critically needed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for reiterating the great level of detail in that account. It really takes it home when you go down to individual items that are taken from churches and individual acts of violence that actually take place. I'm going to ask for testimony number 7 now, please. Yeah. George, are you online? We're having a little bit of difficulty just at the minute making a connection. Just bear with us a little bit. But just to add that there's quite a few people have joined us, so welcome. You're more than welcome. There's a lot of people have even joined since we started the webinar. So rather than decreasing in numbers, we seem to be increasing. So thank you very much for that. You're more than welcome. We may have to just do another, we'll switch a little bit. So I can go back to maybe an alternative testimony 7.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You have the floor. Thank
you. I'm going to read a testimony from a religious person living outside Tigray. Dear friends of humanity and global solidarity, as a religious person living outside Tigray, I share with tears the sufferings of my people that cannot be described with words, and pen down the experiences, then recommend possible solutions to be implemented swiftly to save Tigray from total annihilation. Experiences and observations. The Interfaith Council of Tigray wrote a report on the general situation of religious leaders and worship centers on the 4th of May 2021. They stated that the atrocities are getting worse instead of getting better. They wrote a summary of the current devastating situation in Tigray, explaining how they are compelled to speak up, refusing to be silenced in front of such an overwhelming killing and sufferings of the religious leaders and the civilians in the sanctuaries during celebrations of masses and other prayers. These are clear indications of the present situation in Tigray. In other words, the killings and harassments of the religious leaders, the civilians, and the destruction and discretion of the holy places of different religions continue to, as we speak. Since the war started in November 2020, the sufferings that cannot be described with words are inflicted on the people of Tigray by different forces, particularly foreign forces. One of the sufferings incurred on Tigray is religious and spiritual devastation. Although Tigray people are deeply religious, those forces are prohibiting people from praying and getting spiritual strength during all their suffering by shelling, including the 1600 years old churches and mosques with powerful weapons. Some of those worship centers are registered UNESCO heritage sites. The artilleries intentionally hit more than 12 churches, monasteries, and mosques until they are decimated and became out of use. They are desecrating the worship centers and the sections of the churches where only ordained priests are allowed to enter. The instruments of worship, especially the sacred vessels, are being looted from the churches and mosques and being transported out of Tigray with other goods for selling. It appears that that is why the bishops of the neighboring country officially discouraging the people from buying anything coming from Tigray. They are killing the religious leaders in different ranks so that the people are not consoled by the word of God and by canceling them from their spiritual leaders. The names and the number of religious leaders executed in cold blood are reported hereafter from the sources. Although we could not specifically establish the fact that where it took place, that some months ago, we heard that 2 girls who were in the formation to become sisters were raped by 18 soldiers. The sisters who have clinics are suffering immensely. There was an incident where more than 10 unarmed civilians were killed in a small village, and 1 remained alive among those considered executed. Then the neighbors took the man to the hospital, carrying on a stretcher for hours. Then the soldiers heard that the man remained alive and is in the hospital. Then they came to finish him off on the hospital bed. Then the sisters and the priests covering the half-dead man with their body, saying, either kill us with him or leave us all. Fortunately, they left them. But it is horrendous to imagine coming to kill people in the hospital under religious leaders' care. When artilleries hit the monasteries and religious houses, the church residents escape without any food and proper clothing. They are causing immense suffering until people say monks seen searching for food on the streets. For instance, according to a sure source, in the eastern region of Tigray, more than 76 priests, pastors, altar servers, and mosque servers have been executed. In the southern region of Tigray, more than 44 priests, sheikhs, and servers of the mosques have been killed. More than 163 priests, sheikhs, and the mosque servers have been killed in the middle part of Tigray. In the northwest Tigray, 43 priests, sheikhs, and the servers of the mosques were killed. Up to the 4th of May 2021, the total number of religious leaders killed during their religious service are more than 326. It appears the destruction of the religious leaders and worship centers are being used as another weapon of war to deprive the people of Tigray of getting spiritual and human refuge. For these reasons, in several places, the churches and mosques are closed altogether so that people may not pray or get any spiritual or psychological support. The suggested way forward. Therefore, we are appealing to you and to the international political and religious leadership to support us through the following actions. 1, the Eritrean government to withdraw from Tigray altogether, respecting the sovereignty and legal borders according to the international laws. It is so clear that without the withdrawal of the Eritrean soldiers, there is nothing concrete that can be done to save the lives and livelihoods of Tigray. 2, we demand that the Ethiopian government to ensure the evacuation of Eritrean soldiers, the Somali soldiers, and the Amara special forces from Tigray, and allow the deploying of the United Nations soldiers to guarantee the evacuation and investigate the civilian atrocities committed. 3, to allow humanitarian food and medical support without any restriction in the whole Tigray before the rain intensifies in the region as we start June. 4, to re-establish the school and health systems in the entire Tigray as soon as possible. Without those systems put back in place, the annihilation of the current and the future Tigray people will continue. 5, all these nightmares, one can imagine the magnitude of the need for short and long-term counseling in Tigray. We seek international community to join us in the relief, laying foundation and funding the plan of action for long-term psycho-spiritual counseling. I have the references down there, and the second reference is the one that has got list of those who have been killed. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And that was testimony number 7. But we have one last item we would like to just do at this stage. The Patriarch in Addis Ababa, Patriarch Matthias, has made so many statements recently about what is going on and reflecting on what is happening in Tigray. And we have an audio that we would like to play now of a lady reflecting on his words and what they mean, and so to interpret what he's saying and what it means for people on the ground. So could we play that audio?
Hi Rita, good morning. Thank you for everything what you are doing to me, especially I'm not following all the time the news because I don't know how to follow, to find out, and especially when you are sending me the new and hot news, I'm very happy to follow it. And then about the patriarch, really, I have also tears that when the journalist, he's not a journalist, but the guy say when he explained that he was in tears, it's really very sad. And he said that he had 3 times an interview. His interview is about 45 minutes, and nobody was, pronounced his or sharing his interview. All the time there was, and they don't give him a chance to talk with people, to meet people. And when he wants to talk, also they was telling him, he said that I'm not afraid of myself, but when I want to speak, the people around me, they say that you have to be careful, that it will be a problem to the people of around you. I don't know if the people are there around him are Tigrayan, or the people around him, maybe they just want to make him afraid. I don't know. And now he had a chance to speak because of this man. He said that it's what's going in Tigray is very, very, very bad. It's also happening in different places, or like in Benshangul, Ulega, and Oromo area. But the Tigrayan war is very, very bad, and it's looting and killing and raping. These three things, they are stealing his property, they are killing him, and they are raping the woman. It's worse. And he say it's about the monastery, about the Abba Zawangel. Last year he passed away in Europe area in Asimba. His church was destroyed, and Debre Damo also, the monastery, and in Axum he mentioned, and in Debre Abba, where is my uncle was killed also, this place he mentioned. And he is now telling to the people, I am not quiet, but I didn't have a chance. I'm like a circle, and they are closing me not to talk. I'm very in stress because all day and night I'm thinking about my people and I'm thinking about what's happening in Tigray. And he is asking to all the Christians in the world to help. Even the farmers, they don't have a chance to plow their lands. It's coming summer because everything they stole from them, and things like plowing equipment also, they are breaking and burning it. They are planning to completely to genocide all the Tigrayan people. And please, I'm talking now. It's not what I talked before, but now I'm talking because all the world also knows, and all the wars are talking about this. This what the world knows. I'm talking to the people, and especially to the people, the Christian in all the world, the church, the leader of the Christian. Everybody have to help now because they don't have anything, nothing, no to plow for the season, and no food, and it's in very, very bad condition. And he's very, very sorry what's happened in his time. And also he mentioned like to pray.
Thank you very much for playing that tape.